Hi, this is Congressman Tom Cole. This is another one of our weekly chats, and I'm actually broadcasting to you today from the boardroom at Duncan Regional Hospital. I've just had the opportunity to tour the emergency room here. Thank all the workers who are under an enormous amount of strain dealing with not only their normal workload, but obviously the recent spike in the Delta variant of COVID-19. And we went up to the intensive care unit and saw some of the really tragic and difficult cases there. And while I'm going to talk about some other things, let me just begin by, again, urging you, if you have not yet been vaccinated, please do so as quickly as you can. We're in a period right now where literally 97% of the people that catch COVID and ultimately die of COVID are people that haven't had the opportunity to take the vaccination. So I can assure you, as someone who took the vaccination early and whose wife and child has also taken it, it's safe, it's effective, and it's very important for you and your loved ones that you do this as quickly as you can. It'll protect you and keep you there for them. It'll protect your families, protect your friends and neighbors. So if you possibly can, do it. If you'd like, call our offices. We'll help you find a place. It's all free. It's easy. And it'll make a big difference, not only for you, but for all those around you. Having said that, this is a period of time when Congress is out of session, so I've been doing a lot of traveling. Not surprisingly, COVID-19 has been a big topic. I've visited a number of hospitals, healthcare facilities, skilled nursing homes. All of them are doing incredible work, heroic work, really, protecting people. We know a lot more about the virus than we did, and so the treatments are better, and certainly the vaccine is the big difference maker right now. So again, we're making some progress, but we need to do a little bit better. I've also had the opportunity to visit with a lot of business people, and I have to tell you, I'm enormously impressed with the resilience of American entrepreneurs, small business people, and major corporations. They've not only adapted to this problem, frankly, in many cases, they're having one of the best years of their life. The economy is going extremely well right now. I think it was going well before COVID, and I think those basic, forces are still in place, and we're moving ahead. So that's good news. I'm also hearing a lot about Afghanistan over the last few days in particular. And what's happened there is a tragedy. There's profound differences of opinion as to whether or not we should have stayed in Afghanistan or not, but there's no difference of opinion, I can tell you, in the 4th District about how botched the evacuation has been. People ask me, why did the military come out first rather than last? Shouldn't have you gotten all the people out before we took troops out, because we're now having to send troops back in? That's a pretty good question. People wonder why we didn't keep Bagram Air Force Base, where we could have had complete air superiority over all of Iraq. We would have a much more protected facility with easier access to Americans. Again, that's a hard question to answer. So I think there's a universal opinion, no matter whether you thought we should be there or stay there. Most people think how we left has been a national embarrassment and a debacle, and frankly, I feel that way, and I know my colleagues in the Oklahoma delegation do as well. We're also getting ready to go back to Congress next week, and it's very uncertain as to what we'll be doing. Originally, we were called back in to deal with something called a budget resolution to deal with the so-called $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. We've also been called back in, or could be, to deal with the so-called bipartisan infrastructure package. The bipartisan infrastructure package would pass overwhelmingly if it were put on the floor. But Speaker Pelosi said, I'm not putting it on the floor until I know we have enough votes in the Senate and the House to pass the $3.5 trillion, much bigger bill. That bill will have no Republican support whatsoever. It dramatically increases taxes on corporations and businesses. It dramatically increases the estate taxes in ways that will make it very difficult for family farms and ranches and small businesses to be passed on to heirs. Again, it's a very narrowly divided Congress, and I think it's very unclear as to whether or not that can happen. Finally, I've had the opportunity to visit quite a few federal installations in my district, particularly Tinker Air Force Base and Fort Sill Army post. Boy, you're always impressed with the men and women that continue to defend the United States under every possible circumstance. We also, of course, have an enormously capable and dedicated civilian workforce. I had a chance to visit with some of the leadership of the Mike Monroney Center, the FAA Center in Oklahoma City. That's not in my district, but a lot of the workers are, and the work they do there is absolutely vital. And again, it's impressive how well the basic institutions of government, the folks that really get the job done, have continued to work under very difficult circumstances and under economic disruption. So I look forward to talking to you next week after we see what the House of Representatives actually does. Count me as skeptical that we will pass the infrastructure package in short order. Again, I think the Speaker is going to use that as to try and blackmail members of her own party into voting for a much larger bill that they have serious questions about. Count me also as skeptical that that bill ever becomes law, at least in the outline that we've seen so far. And finally, we'll also keep working on the normal appropriations process that funds government. I suspect we'll have to do what's called a continuing resolution, that is continuing funding at current levels at the end of September toward the end of the fiscal year, and hopefully we can negotiate a larger deal. In that deal, I hope we can increase defense spending. I think it's absolutely vital in a dangerous world. I hope we can reduce the extraordinary expansion in domestic spending, where Democrats increased it by 18%. And finally, it's critical that we restore the pro-life protections that are in appropriations bills. Democrats stripped all those out, as you may recall from one of my recent weekly chats. Republicans tried to get them back in the House. We were unsuccessful in that, but we've told our Democratic friends that until those things are restored, those pro-life protections, we will not be supporting appropriations bills. So hopefully that'll bring them to their senses, and again, we'll get a more balanced appropriation product with the traditional bipartisan protections that limit taxpayer funding of abortion back in place. So with that, I would just wish you well. Take care, look after your families, and again, I'm going to end where I started. If you possibly can, please go get vaccinated. It's very important that you do so. I've seen some pretty tough examples today and on other days in hospitals of folks that I know now wish they had been vaccinated. They're going through a difficult time. Don't let that happen to you and your family. So good luck. God bless. Look forward to talking to you again soon.